Hello and welcome into the Final Whistle, episode 11. I'm Trevor Junt, your host. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about LC State and Jake Taylor, who recently was fired. Lewiston High School, they recently hired a new coach for football. Kendrick Baseball, who Kendrick has now won in baseball, football, and basketball state championships. We have Lewiston High School softball, who recently came runners-up in the state championship. We have Potlatch softball, who recently won the state championship. And we have Moscow track, who also won the state championship. Welcome in. First off, let's talk about LC State and Jake Taylor. So Taylor leaves LC State with a record of 263, 80, and 1. Almost 77% of his games are wins. He's coached LC State from 2019 to 2025. He had to play his way into the World Series in 2022, 2023. They lost. And then the past 2 years in 2024 and 2025, they didn't even make it to the World Series. They lost in the opening round. It's the first time since 1997 and 98 that the Warriors have missed back-to-back World Series. Let's talk about Jake Taylor just in general a little bit here. Coming close if you want to listen to this. What are you doing, Lewis Clark State? What are you doing? I don't get this firing. You have a different standard. You want to make the World Series literally every year and contend and try to win it every year. Of course, everybody wants to do that, but he's won almost 80% of his game. It's kind of ridiculous that the standard is you have to make the World Series or you have to win the World Series to even be a coach at LC. They're hiring a new coach today, but what can you even ask more from a coach besides to win the World Series? That's not a common thing. You can look at professional teams. You can look at the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees have gone over 10 years without a World Series. It just happens when you're the best of the best, which LC is. You can't win a World Series every single year. It's just not possible. It's just not likely. So I don't get this firing. Like, are you joking me? You want him to win the World Series every year? That's ridiculous. That's a standard that's just not possible. Sure, he didn't have all of the postseason success, but it's just kind of a joke standard to like say that you have to win the World Series, or you have to make it the World Series. Now, especially, they don't have an automatic bid anymore, which really changes things up for a coach. Jake Taylor kind of got screwed over here. Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly gotten harder to even make the World Series now that he has to win games, win series, and go undefeated in the opening round or lose just one game in the opening round to make it the World Series. It's harder for him now. So I don't know. I'm confused by this firing. I will say that. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I don't know who you could transition to as a coach. Maybe Jeremiah Robbins, who's won the World Series before. But I don't know who you could transition to as a head coach to make even more of a headway to the World Series here. I mean, sure, the guy didn't have great postseason success. I already mentioned that. But 80% of his games, that's ridiculous. No other coaches do that common. For 6 years, he did that. Yeah, I don't know. Lewis Clark State has different standards than everybody else, but it just doesn't seem right. It's not technically a firing, but it is a firing, I would say. Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense there. Let's talk about hirings. So Lewiston Baseball just hired Zane Hobart. Hobart has led Kendrick High School to, I think, 5 out of 6 state championships, 4 consecutive the last 4 years. He's a Lewiston High School alumni. He just reportedly said he's going to move over and be that Lewiston head coach. So let's talk about that hiring there for a quick second. I mean, obviously, you can hire a guy who's a football genius in general, but Kendrick does play. They used to be 1A. They just moved up to 2A. They play 8-man football. Lewiston plays 11-man football, and it's just a whole different game. You hire a guy, and you expect him to know football well enough to transition to this 11-man football and be fine. I think Hobart will be fine. It's definitely a transition. Moving from 1A for a lot of your career, and then 2A for a little bit, and then all the way up to 5A for about 8-man to 11-man football, it's a difficult task. It's not a bad hire. Hobart's known as like a football genius around here, but it's definitely going to be a harder transition for him. I think Kendrick Baseball won state. So now they've won the state in baseball, football, and basketball in the same season. They went from 1A to 2A, like I said, and won 4 straight for football, 2 straight for basketball, and now 1 for baseball. They just beat Potlatch 2-1. Some of the athletes carry over from all these other sports. There's guys like Xavier Carpenter, Riley Rosender, Maddox and Hudson Kirkland. It's just really impressive. I think that one thing that we can't go understated is winning literally in all sports. It's a 3 triple crown right there. That's not easy to do. That's really impressive right there. And then Lewiston Baseball. So Lewiston Baseball is a true underdog story. It's excellent in themselves that they made it this far. They entered their seasons as runner-up. They lost to Bishop Kelly. But it was their first time in the state playoffs since 2008. People like Jenna Barney, Ava Thorson, and others on this team really stepped up and were like senior leaders from that Lakeland comeback, and then going to their first tournament berth in like 17 years, and then just having success in state is also another thing that just can't go understated. They're losing 7 seniors. They're losing Jenna Barney, Anna Reddy, Ashlyn Snell, Taryn Nuxel, Becca Hogebaum, Mayona Miller, and Caitlin Fowler. Those are all their seniors that they're losing. Their coach, Jesse Roll, said, I don't even know what next year will look like without them. He said he's got a lot of girls coming up, like juniors. They've got Ava Thorson and Shelby Moreno, who are going to be senior leaders next year, but it's just such a difficult transition from losing these people to transitioning to these new senior leaders. He said it's just going to be so hard to fill their role. But really impressive season by Lewiston to come back from I don't think most people even expected them to win the IEL, and then they do, and then they just make a run in the playoffs, in the state playoffs. Really impressive. And then Potlatch softball. The Loggers are the Idaho 2A state softball champions for the first time since 2022, back when it was 1A. They were the top seeded team. The Loggers were. Potlatch is a softball powerhouse. They're a baseball powerhouse too. They didn't quite win. They didn't quite beat Kendrick, but they're a baseball powerhouse too. The Loggers beat Genesee, the Bulldogs, 10-7 in the championship game last weekend. And one thing that their coach, Dean Butterfield, said is that they play as a team, like not just a team, but they play as a family. He said that the family aspect is really important to the Loggers' success because when they see one girl on base, they want to move her forward just because they think of each other as a family. And yeah, I mean, Potlatch pretty much dominated the season. Their only loss was to Genesee, so they went 19-1 on the season. And they just pretty much dominated the state playoffs. I think they won 3 straight games and defeated everybody in state. One thing about Genesee is Kendra Meyer. Kendra Meyer's an elite pitcher. And they had to win 3 straight games to even play Potlatch. And I think she had 10 Ks in one game, 14 Ks in another. Impressive season by Kendra Meyer. She's a senior who's going on to play, I assume, somewhere. But it's definitely a tough loss for Genesee. I wonder how they're going to look next season. And then Moscow track. The Moscow Bears just clinched the Idaho 5A class girls track and field title. Sophomore Mateo Nunn really defended her state titles in the 100-meter, 300-meter hurdles, the high jump, where she had her personal record at 5 feet and 6 inches. She really anchored the Bears' first place 400 relay, which clocked in at 49.2 seconds. With Jasmine Carr, Addie Layson, and Ashlyn Fakari. When you have somebody who's so dominant in all these things, 4 or 5 events, I think that is obviously more likely that you're going to win this track meet. And yeah, very, very cool season for Moscow track to finally clinch a state title. And then Logos of Moscow also took first place in the 2A state championship for track. They took first place in boys and girls team scoring. That's all we really have for the Final Whistle today. Thanks for listening in. Read about sports, watch sports always. Thanks for listening to the Final Whistle, episode 11. I'm Trevor Junt.